The God-inspired circle is not some kind of weird. I'm going to shut this down. I'll show you what it is. Here's what it is. Okay, first of all, you're going to want to go around in a circle, around in a circle, around in a circle for the rest of your life. You're not going to stop. You know, you've heard people say if you're not moving forward, if you're not going forward, then you're just, you're going backwards. That I think is true. If you think you can just coast it out, you're going to wake up a year from now and realize you're not as good as you were. You're not even as good as you thought you were at that moment. You're going to be behind. In other words, you're slowly slipping back. So look at the God-inspired circle. And this is what we talk about in a webinar just now for an hour. The God-inspired circle, envision, measure, and grow. That's what it's about. You want to envision what you want for your future. You want to measure how you're doing as you're going along there, and then you want to grow. Let that happen naturally, and you're going to come back around. Why is it a circle that keeps going around? Couldn't you just think about it? Couldn't you just think it through, write it down, and then just do it? Well, maybe in your life you could do that with something like, say, I want to get married, have kids, and retire rich. Those things you could probably you could say that, and you could probably that could be like a big overall thing. Okay. But if you're in any real life scenario, okay, because anything can happen along the way, even with that, you envision you get married, you envision you have children, and you envision you get rich and retire rich. You know what I mean? Anything can happen. Anything can happen. Tragedy. You just make the wrong move. And then you're like, oh, well, now I'm this and that. And you're always going to be. So in worship ministry and in pastoral ministry, it's the same thing. You're going to say, I want to do this, this, this. I want to have this church. I want to build a thing, blah, 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 blah. That's my vision. And then a year later, you're going to wake up and you're going to realize God's knocking on your head going, hey, what are you doing? Why are you doing it this way? Why don't you do it this way? Look at this opportunity. Why don't you move to that direction? Why don't you do this? And then you're going to go, oh, another vision. You're envisioning another way. I'm envisioning another way. Look at that. Okay, now I'm going to twist it, and now I'm going to start again. So in worship ministry, as building any teams, any leadership teams, you're gonna start with the vision, then you're gonna measure it out as you go, then you're gonna see yourself growing, and then you're gonna want to go a little bit further, right? You're gonna want to get a little bit bigger. You're gonna want to start small, and then you're gonna grow, and you're gonna go around in a circle and get bigger and bigger and bigger. So don't think that this circle is not going to keep happening. That's why I said go round and round and round until you get better and better and better, till you're going to get more and more people. There might be a time in your ministry where you think, I just wish I had a drummer and a bass player every week. I just wish I had a drummer and a bass player to play with me every week. And then a year goes by, and you look back and you realize, hey, I have a drummer and a bass player every week on stage with me, and this is awesome. Now you're going to create another vision. You're not going to stop there, right? You're not going to say, that's it. You're going to be like, hey, I noticed that electric guitars seem to really help the worship style of the day, or whatever it is. I'd like to have an electric player. And that's another vision. And then you will grow, and then you will come back around and measure. Okay, so I talked about all of this in the webinar in great detail. So if you join Foundations, you get that, and then you can also join there and get this picture. Just take a screenshot of it if you just want to get a picture of it there while it's on the screen. Oh, there it is right there. Take a screenshot of it if you want to. That's Shift-Alt-4 on the Mac. I don't know if PCs do screenshots. Maybe they do. Maybe they've come up in the world. Maybe you can do a screenshot on there. So what is your vision? Let's do that. Why don't I know that there might not be a ton of people watching at this exact moment, so maybe it's not going to be like the thing that we're going to do big time. But let's see, what is your vision? And it can be for your life, for your church, for your ministry. What are you thinking? Let me see if anybody's on there to tell me what they think about that, because this is a live feed. So even if you are at the end, maybe you're watching this tomorrow and it's not actually specifically live, just write down in the comment section in YouTube or in Facebook here, what is your vision? Think of something and go, yeah, that's it. What is your vision? So here, what is your vision? why don't you leave it in the comments? I am typing, check this out. I'm typing on the most hilarious thing. My laptop's there, but then I've got this old keyboard. My vision is this morning to get a keyboard that actually works on a Mac, because this is a PC keyboard, and I didn't realize that it's not even the same. Whatever. I guess I just was out of loop. But I do have a PC now, so I'm not making fun of you guys with a PC completely. I am saying that I do have a PC now, which is funny. I haven't started it yet. I haven't loaded it up, but I actually have it. I built it, but I haven't put Windows on it yet. So we talked about this in my webinar. What is your vision? You're gonna. There's a couple things in this circle here that I really like. I really like a couple things in this circle that I think are really important, and I'll go through some of them here, because this is part of what's in there. The God and Vision circle: measure, grow, cultivate. When you get down here to grow, I liked this thing that it talks about. It's a part of a natural process. Okay, so you can allow this to happen as a part of a natural process, and allow it to be produced naturally, to move from one condition to another, especially gradually. So you're not going to wake up one day, you get a call from this pastor, he's going to say, hey, we want you to do this. You show up, the team is in place, everything is perfect. It's like, here's the keys to everything that you need. I've got all the volunteers lined up. That does not happen in ministry. It will not happen in ministry. If it does happen in ministry, it's never happened to me in ministry. And even when I was going into a new ministry or a new church where there was a full team installed, sometimes you're like, well, that's not the way I would do it. And they're like, well, yeah, that's the way the old guy did it. And then maybe some of them are like, yeah, we like the old guy. We're out of here. People quit. So even if you take over a church where there's a full team of people, it's like jumping into a life raft, that's almost too full and water's splashing everywhere. Somebody falls off the edge, things happen. It's never just smooth, super smooth. If it is, it's just, that's the exception to the rule. Okay, because usually it's like they're throwing you out of a plane into a life raft that's overflowed and the waves are there, and you're just sort of, it takes a bit. In fact, some of the greatest advice that I got from in my early 20s was, don't do anything for 6 months. They bring you in, they hire you to do all this stuff, and you're trying to do all this stuff, but they said, don't do anything, don't change anything for 6 months. Because, you take a new job or take a new church and you think immediately, I've got to do this, I got to fix this, got to do that. You see all this stuff because you're envisioning what you're going to do. And then they said, but the best thing is don't change anything, just get to know people. And that is a good advice. Probably the best advice I ever got from a senior pastor going into a ministry. And I was young, and I would say that's probably it. So make your vision. Maybe for 6 months, you're just sitting on it. You're watching people. You're looking at what's going on. You're putting together your vision, your ideas of what's going to happen. You're talking to your pastor. In my webinar, in the past webinar, I just talked about this. You're going to ask your pastor, what's your vision for this? What do you want? What do you want this to be? Because if you're being brought into a church, if you're being hired into a church, or if you're being volunteered into a church, and they're putting you in some leadership position, I guarantee they have an idea of what you're going to do. They have an idea of what they want you to do. They're not just like, well, I'll just go up there and see what happens, see what happens to the church. Whatever happens is going to happen, and we'll figure it out. You just figure out what's going to happen. I guarantee you, no pastor or no good pastor is going to be thinking that. Okay. They're going to be thinking, this is what we want this guy to do. And so why not just take some time and figure it out? Take some time to write down your vision. Share your vision with the pastor, with the deacons, with the leaders, whoever they are, with the worship team. Slowly ask them, what do you think about this? What would it be like if it were this way? What do you think about this? And maybe your vision is going to completely be shaped over that 6-month period. But once you begin to envision, and then once you get into the circle, where you're actually implementing things, and then you're going and measuring, and then you're seeing that you're growing, then you're going to go back around another circle. You're not just going to say, well, I did that and that's fine. I guess that main point that I made at the beginning of this video is, especially in ministry, you're not just going to make up one vision and just stick to it for like 7 years. It's not going to happen. You might have this big overall vision, like we're going to worship God. we're going to have a worship band. I mean, that's just too broad. That's too open. You're going to, as a leader, be charged with very specifically building and growing and measuring a worship band, growing and building and measuring a worship team, growing and building and measuring something. I mean, you could just say, yeah, we're going to have a worship band. That's fine. But there's a lot more to that now that you're in the leadership position, or now that you're working with the leadership. How are you going to have a worship band? How are you going to train enough drummers? Where are you going to get the musicians? What are you going to do when you lose your best drummer? Are you ready for that? In Foundations, it's about continually training, intentionally training a lot of people underneath every position. So this is key to your success, that you are doing what I would call the God-inspired circle. This is the God-inspired circle right here. What is your vision? Leave it in the comments, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Facebook. Make sure you like that page up there, or subscribe to the channel if you're on YouTube. What do you see for the future? What do you want to have for the future? Make it so crazy, and then start to see where you could start to measure, where you can start measuring this, and where you can start growing in your strengths. Proverbs 29, where there's no vision, the people perish. That's always been a scripture that I've always thought about from early Christian, from being an early Christian. I always thought about that. If I can't see where I want to go, if I can't vision, and I always thought way beyond what people would tell me to do. They would say, do this, and I would think, no, but what if we did it this way? What if we did that? And then it's no fun if you're not visioning. It's no fun if you're not pushing yourself up to the next level. It's not super fun. It's just like, I did this. I've done a lot of things. And by the time you get to do them, you're like, I did them, and that's fine. But when you're in ministry, when you realize what we have charged to us as worship leaders, as pastors, as church leaders, we have to be visioning, because God's put us in a leadership role. We have to be visioning beyond anything that other people might think. You are the leader. If you're the leader at this moment in this scenario, you're the one that God has placed in that position, because he's going to give you vision. So you can pray for vision. Pray for that opening. What do you want next? Talk with your leadership team. Talk with your pastor. Throw some crazy ideas out there and test the waters. Maybe you've got a few people around you who are crazy enough to think like you and with you. Maybe you're in a church that doesn't want a crazy vision. They just want a simple thing. Maybe that's not the right place for you. Visioning and building teams will bring out a lot for you. And this week, as we talk about it, it can really change your life. If you're not excited about where you're going, if you're not really around other people that are exciting you, then you gotta have to go somewhere else. If you're not seeing the possibility of a great future where you are, and if you're not able to mold that in and know that God can take you there, then maybe you need to be like, God, what's your vision for me as a leader, as a worship leader? Where should I be? I'll see you on the next video. God bless you. Make sure you send me your vision.